We have the team here from Etherpets, for our familiar Twitter Space attendees, you guys should have a little bit of an understanding on this one as well. Anybody who's active within the YouTube or the private group, we had a pretty great show here on Etherpets around 100K from RR, and I know there's been a bunch of the apes in the community supporting. So this has definitely been one that the concept and nostalgia behind Etherpets hits home. I'm a 90s kid. Pokemon was a huge thing for me. I actually told the story to somebody today. I won an all-star game logo design contest for the local hockey league that I was in, and there was a $500 prize. I took that $500, went to Toys R Us, bought my very first Game Boy Color and Pokemon Blue. So that's how far I go back on the Pokemon side of things. And, I said it in my Twitter post, there's definitely been a few kicks at the can, in terms of this style of project, but the attention to detail I've seen here from Element and what he's building out really impressed me. And again, we don't just bring any project in here for an AMA. I have been really impressed by what he's doing, their characters, the uniqueness of the traits, the origin story for 90 plus characters. It takes a lot of work, a lot of time, and a lot of effort into developing it and finding character traits that, like he said, he's really nerdy into Pokemon. So once you start to understand throughout the AMA what he's talking about, you're going to see how much time actually went into creating this type of ecosystem. So, there is the ePets token, the NFTs, that you have your mintable NFTs, which function as your in-game characters. And we'll get through the different variations of that, how you can evolve them, how you can trade and sell them to, enhance your collection. Because if you're like me, if you're like Element, you want to have all 151 if you can count, including you. So really excited to have you guys here to break down further what Etherpets is building. I'm not really concerned with the chart for this one because I know that you've been in the community every day since your January 29th launch, pushing it, developing. So yeah, without further ado, Walker, take over for your pitch.
Hey, my name's Walker. I've been in the space only really a couple years, and I kind of got in from a friend of mine who's also in the project here, and got into a coin. We ran it up like 200x and had a blast, and then got rugged by the dev. And it's crypto's about this what Element's creating here is, and putting all his time and effort into, is basically bringing his nostalgia back. Nostalgia is so big, and Element's bringing that into the Web3 space. All of us collecting cards as a kid and, loving it. And, knowing that one day, I still have mine from 20 years ago. I go through them all the time, right? Realizing, why did I keep this for 20 years, right? Element's bringing that in and then bringing it to the crypto space, which can 1000x in a minute, right? Into that space where this can become a reality really, really quickly. And it's just so dope. And, I've been in here. I just literally randomly found this on ETH trending on day one, right? And I was like, this is kind of cool. And when I opened it up, and I saw that everything had been done already. It was fair launched. It just didn't, it was weird. It didn't seem real to me, right? And as I slowly learned more about Element and kind of became almost friends with him in a way, and seeing him grind and put his heart into this, I was like, fuck. This is a great project. And, I know, take it from me, an old normie now getting into crypto, right? I think this is where this is going anyways in crypto, right? The normies are getting in. Now, we say it's the top, but shit's going to get real in the next bull run. And projects like these, I truly feel are going to be the ones that come out on top. So, I don't know. Just take it from me, a normie 2 years in the space, but
hell yeah, Walker.
Nostalgia, bro. And I'm loving it.
Thank you. That was a really cool way to set the vibe and let people know kind of from a community member's perspective just how, exciting the project can be and, what we're all working towards.
Oh, yeah, it's going to happen.
Actually,
it's been 35 days.
Having you guys on here, I had to pull out my Pokemon binder. I'm going to drop some random snapshots of some cards I got in my collection throughout
Right? Pull out your old cards and look at them. Go back to why you collected them in the first place, right? It's that kind of feeling again, right? Working in this ground level in a community, it's a fucking base community, right? It's Element, doing his best, working 7 days a week. Like, this dude is online all the time, and it's always Etherpets. And it hasn't just been the last 35 days. It's been the last 8 months he's been spent creating this in silence, right? Like, there's a whole level to this that's like further than crypto, right? Like, there's a business plan. Like, this is $1 billion potentially company, right? Even just like, there's a generation of Pokemon, and that's us, right? So,
Yes, sir. I just dropped my first edition holographic Venusaur in the chat for everybody to look at.
right? Like, pull your shit out and look about this. And then the esports, like, what we want to bring into this, the esports aspect. Like, I was doing research on, like, to get into the top 100 of esports. So, like, we want to have tournaments. We have a tax of 3-3. That goes to marketing. It goes to the token. Like, when you're doing easily, say if you're even 100 million, you're doing 20 million in volume. That's what, like 3% and 20 million in volume, 60K a fucking day. Like, we can host esports, you know, $250,000 prizes. Like, this game is balanced. This is how deep Element has thought it through, is about balance for future tournaments. So, like, you know, all your Etherpets, you know, it's so, he's thought everything through. And this is a sick project. And I know a lot of people don't probably know the whole, like, it's a lot to understand, but it's pretty dope that this, like, kind of, you know, goes past just crypto and esports. Like, imagine, I think top 100, I was like 5 million a year, or in total ever tournament volume, right? Like, that's all you got to give away. And you're now have one of the top 100 esports leagues, like, in the world, right? And in crypto, I feel like that's one of the only things that's way it's possible, unless it's a giant company building something, you know, just to make money, right? This isn't just to make money. It's like Element's building his passion, right?
I can
The reason why
expand a
like,
little bit on what Walker's saying, and you know, explain kind of the plan and
Yeah,
walk you
like
guys through it
again,
very
it's great
simply.
to for me. I like it, and I touched on it in my tweet and you know in my intro for a reason. It's like we've seen these types of ideas. I mean, it's no secret that Pokemon is you know one of the biggest you know franchise beloved by ages you know young and old because of the way that it's been around for 35 years now. I think it was 1989 it first launched, if I'm not mistaken. Um, could be a little bit later, maybe 91, 90. But yeah, around 35 years now. So majority of my lifetime. And yeah, I think again, it brings that out with everybody. When I had booked, when I saw that you guys got booked in, I was like, well, I got to make sure I get my Pokemon cards out alongside the AMA and show everybody. Cause yeah, for me, we'll go into the project, but the last thing I wanted to touch on, and I brought it up in my post as well, is for any console gamers out there, you know, Pokemon has always been, you know, it's very, you know, licensed, it's very protected, it's very copyrighted. But what we've seen is if you are able to make a custom variation, it can have a massive response. And I'm talking about Pal World on the console side of things, you know, being one of the most downloaded and played games, and it's only in the beta version. So I think what Element is building is, you know, he's definitely onto something. And why I said I liked it is because of the attention to detail, the character building, and the storytelling he's trying to create. So yeah, I'll throw it to you. You could jump into, you know, more on the depth of the project when it relates to like the crypto and the blockchain side of things. But it definitely, you know, nostalgia is not missed. And I think that's why, you know, people get excited.
I'm too excited to explain it. So this is like the best part of the project. Beyond the game, beyond actually, you know, playing PvP in a sustainable way with a single token economy, with decentralized digital assets that you control in an esports oriented ecosystem, right? Beyond that, the NFTs are not just pictures. They're living dynamic NFTs. So basically the way it works is when you have an Etherpet in your wallet, from the time that you receive it, you're training it. It's your DeFi companion. So whenever you use Ethereum, whenever you buy, trade, bridge, swap, send, you know, all of these transactions, they're getting your Etherpet experience. So you can go into our ETHERDEX, and each Etherpet's unique. So, you know, there's 500 of each species, 500 Flicker, Dudo, Zaplin. Right now we're minting Fuzzlet, Rocket, and Glider. But each of these are unique because they have different growth rates and different stats that can appear depending on, the one that you mint and how it was randomly generated. So they all might have the same art because they're the same species, but they have different stats. And each one is built differently to participate as a certain type of build within the game. So these are NFT characters, right? That you grow and you evolve through using your Ethereum wallet. And there's going to be other ways to earn experience too, besides transactions, like becoming a social proponent, like within the ETHERDEX. Not only will you be able to evolve your Etherpets, see your stats, and read the lore and everything about your Etherpet, but you'll also be able to earn experience through following our Twitter, retweeting, doing certain things to make things more accessible. And there's going to be other ways that you can earn experience built out through things like a mini game that we're working on currently. Think of a PvP tower defense mini game that will have some small PTE aspects to it, where you'll earn an in-game currency that'll be used to cash out for the token, once you hit a threshold. So things like that. So you'll be able to have some earning potential, just taking a part of the ecosystem and leveling up your NFTs. So that's kind of the way that they work. They're living, they grow with you, and you use them in our games. So the idea is that everybody should have an Etherpet, the definitive creature game of DeFi, and something that's based around community and a game that's fun to play is the ultimate intention of the project. It's the only thing I want to do, because there's no analog for something like that in crypto, where it's a sustainable gaming ecosystem. And of course, we're going to have a bridge to a gaming chain. I'm in talks with many big, let's just say AVAX subnets, perhaps, or layer twos like Base. As you know, I have a pedigree there, and there's a big market for GameFi that hasn't been filled. And they have the retail adoption. So that's what's in our roadmap now. Their leadership is very cooperative, but yeah, they definitely will bridge to a gaming chain and have the main ETH token as well as the gaming token. But for now, we're going to stay on ETH. We're upgrading our contract right now to ERC 721A, which is a gas optimization standard. So for multiple mints, so you'll be able to mint more NFTs without paying stupid gas. That's the idea. And
It's really
yeah,
important point to bring up. Sorry to catch you up, but I always like to jump in like on topic so we don't have to like go back. But how, because I know you had some good traction in the early stages of the mint, but I will say the last like week, 10 days, gas prices have been a little bit stupid. Like I'm not gonna lie, it's been a little bit silly, especially on the NFT side of things. Because if you don't understand how that works, like the NFTs, because there's more data exchange in the blockchain, it's often a higher price on the gas fees. I think I saw a chart on what was it, Tuesday or Wednesday, where a swap fee was roughly around like 160, $170. And then some of the NFT swaps were going in between like 240 to 280. So, I mean, just curious how that's impacted some of the traction. And once it drops, I mean, obviously there's been people who are probably waiting, right?
yeah. So part of the response to that is upgrading the contract, of course. But in order to mint the NFTs, we don't want your Ethereum. That's not what we want. We want this project to benefit the holders. That's what a real GameFi ecosystem should do. So when you mint the NFTs, you have to use our token. You use 100 USDC worth of tokens, and that's burned. So in our first set that we've already minted, the Genesis set, we burnt about $65,000 worth of the token, and now that's worth over 80, 90 grand worth of the token. And we just opened up mint 2, but since gas has been so insane, we haven't seen a lot of early response. So we're upgrading the contract right now, and then we'll continue to burn tokens, because each set we're minting, each one will have different Etherpets that'll be useful in the game. They all have a unique build, and demand for these NFTs will grow as we start to release the game. We don't have a set date on the game, but we do have a studio partner who's been working with us, and you can see kind of the cinematics that we laid out, because that's the big long-term goal of the project, is this Etherpets Arena game. However, we are laying out mini games, and I'm going to announce the date of the first mini game, hopefully within the coming week or two, as we develop it. So work on finding, the best way forward for that and making it, our first real gaming product aside from the NFTs.
And you're like in the interim, like because the game isn't live, like NFT functionality in terms of um leveling up.
Experience, yeah, that's all live.
Yeah, so like I wanted you to go through the process of exactly how people are able to, like you said, it's compete to earn, not pay to earn, not play to earn. It's more compete to earn. So um break that down for us a little bit more and how people are able to kind of maximize their time in the ecosystem before the official game launches.
So the official game is compete to earn, right? But the mini games will have a play to earn aspect, like you're familiar with. It's not going to be huge, They're just mini games. They're like something you would use to have more fun with the ecosystem and compete for high scores, for prizes, things like that. It's
In
not the
theory,
main.
how like Pokemon used to have like their in I'll use Pokemon because again, it's themed. In Pokemon Stadium, how there used to be the main stadium where you could go and battle your cards or your characters, but then there was also like the mini game circuit that you could compete and play.
Exactly.
Bang, connected home right there. Love it.
That's the Etherpets Arena will play much like Pokemon Coliseum, or they made like a Wii Pokemon Coliseum remake, where it was like 3D animated characters,
I want to add something to that real quick. Can I?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I also like, I think maybe I misheard it wrong, but you said like before the game, like what is there really, other than the mini games, it's also learning about like, how to win, because there's going to be significant like tournaments is the eventual goal, right? So like understanding like what is the meta, right, and like finding new like combinations, right? Because we're all going to be learning, right? It's of Etherpets that you can use to fight, right? Before, and then making a strong team because you already have stats, right? So you can already start planning right now. Now that we're in set 2, right? You can already, like see, because you're looking at your stats. You're kind of getting an idea as more and more, is unfurled as we get further along. So I just wanted to add that, if that makes any sense.
Appreciate it. And it's always good to have some kind of back end insight from people who are just interacting and found themselves within the community.
Yeah, Walker has been tantamount to like being a community voice and being in the chat and making a point of it alongside me, as well as figuring out the dream. Axe has been really pushing, and that's just who I see on the speakers list. But there's plenty of others like in the chat, and you might see him with some Etherpet PFPs or emoji icons. This is really a community that's tight knit. We understand the vision; it's clear. There's execution on all fronts because we're executing a plan that's been cooking. This is the smallest like window of the actual workflow of the project has been since token launch. It's only been about 30 something days, but the back end, the art, the vision, the lore, storytelling aspects, the world building, all of this took a long time. No one's really made a Pokemon that you train on the blockchain. That's the whole point. It's not just a picture. Like these are real NFTs. They live with you, they grow with you, and as there's more and more and more, it costs quite a bit of gas to level up your Etherpets. It's not easy. You'll really start to want to get it there, especially as the game comes out and you want to play more competitively, and even the mini games themselves will use this NFT data on a certain level. As we get further along the development cycle for them. So it's just it's ready for you to fall in love with. That's the cool thing, I hope. It's the vision.
And the NFTs burn EPETs as well. So you're burning the native token, the native token, and that price stays the same, for any mint. So, there's 500 of each Etherpet per mint. It burns $100 worth of EPETs tokens, and that stays the same. And that's just burnt. We burnt almost 100 grand US worth so far, which is kind of crazy to think.
Love it. Now kind of going into like you mentioned the battle aspects. Now, like what does your vision look like for how the more so like the user experience will go
Yes, yes,
in the
yes,
battles,
yes.
right? Like that's what I
You're
wanted to get into with you because
you ready for
we're gamers, we
the
know how
fun
the
part?
games work, man. We know how it is.
So I haven't actually got this deep into battle mechanics in front of a big audience, but I came prepared to shed some more light on it today. Um, so from what we have so far, you the game will be a downloadable executable, just like Fortnite or League of Legends or any other esports game. Available on PC. We hope to make it available for Mac, and on the long-term roadmap, of course, our intention, just like Axie, is to port it to mobile. Um, you know, that comes with a lot of other things. This is not an easy undertaking. It's a long development cycle for things like this. Um, but we're equipped. I have the experience to pull it off with our studio partners. Um, and the idea is it's a multiplayer game where the main thing that stops GameFi projects from being successful is the onboarding curve. And only thing you'll have to do for Etherpets is connect your wallet. We don't want your email. You don't need a password. Your wallet is good enough. Self custody. So connect your wallet. So the only onboarding curve is for retail is create a DeFi wallet. That's all you need. We have integrations on our site that allow you to purchase Etherpets directly with debit or credit. Going through a bridge. Or an on ramping service, a fiat on ramping service. So it's not quite debit to Etherpets, but we're working on that. Um, so yeah, the onboarding curve has been lessened in that way. So you connect your wallet, you get onto the platform, then now you have your account. It auto detects your NFTs. If you don't have any NFTs, there'll be a test in a demo mode where you'll be able to use some basic starters and get a feel for the game. And the way the game plays, it's all multiplayer. It's online matchmaking. You'll have a free play and you'll have a ranked mode. And during ranked mode, you'll up your wallet. So your wallet will have a profile. You know, it'll gain experience based off of your performance in the games. And the way that the game will play is very similar to Pokemon. The same UI, um, in terms of you see your team, you have your commands. It's turn based, but here's where it gets different. The battle mechanic, it doesn't center around HP. It centers around and doing like uh, ce- centralized damage to that using calculations between stats. The way that it would work is more like using the stats in tandem with affinities. So it's more of like a dual battling system. Um, so that's the way that I imagined it. And you'll be able to, of course, utilize your mana, your charisma for like luck based and critical striking roles. Your mana for your energy and your attack, your heal, and your defense. You'll have one ability that is your main ability, and you'll have an ultimate ability, and then there's a passive on each Etherpet. So all of these things will combine so you can create different strategies and move through the game in the way that best suits your team. And since there's going to be 90 something Etherpets for the first season, you'll have a good amount of variation to start creating new ideas. And the whole point as we create these Etherpets is to make these strategies inherent, because we had an idea of what the game is going to look like, but things we're still working out are like refining damage calculation, how that's going to work, because it needs live testing. And we can take some basic ideas from games that I find influence in, like Inscription, where it's like a 5 life counter, and the goal is to tip the opponent over. You can look at something like that, so because the intention is to make something fun and engaging, trying new ideas, but also keeping it very accessible, um but not too simplistic. So it's a ride, a line that we're riding right now as we develop. But that's the vision for the game, is creating really fun turn-based animated 3D strategy game that use your Etherpet NFTs that you've raised and grown with. That was kind of rambly, but
I'm excited. I like that debit, like the more fiat based on ramp system is definitely a good way, like to onboard those people who have that familiarity with like the theme or the concept, but maybe are a little bit newer to the blockchain. Uh, Dude, I gotta connect you with a project that I've worked with in the past called Link. I don't know if you know much about them, but these guys have a really cool technology where they can build out essentially like these NFT based loot boxes and place like rewards within the loot boxes. And then, yeah, like I would
that
say like potentially working with them to do some kind of almost like Pokemon, oh, not Pokemon, but Etherpets packs of NFTs where you can get multiples for like a combination or some tokens and an NFT, like that type of thing again would be a really interesting way to try and onboard and get new people into the project as well. You could almost place those boxes. Like, I'm not a Solidity guy. I don't know. I'm an idea guy. I'm like, yo, if you got somebody who can figure this shit out, I'm great with ideas. But you could essentially place some of these boxes potentially around the map or within like certain like Easter eggs within the little like locations in the game, the village, for people to find. Stuff like that is really really cool. And I'm just loving to see some of the different use cases these different builders and techs are coming out and how it can be collaborative for other projects. It's really cool.
Bro, you're getting me very excited. So a lot of our marketing roadmap, if you want to know how we're going to get to $1 billion, well, I have a great plan. And it's a battle tested plan that you've seen other projects use. And it's all about, creating the right momentum in the right market. So GameFi season will be soon. Right now, you've seen a lot of, in the past week, legacy coins getting some attention as BTC and the market start to shift. And all this money that's coming into BTC and Ethereum, they move into alts as the market, kind of moves its way before the halving. So, part of it is setting up with strategic business development partners, sex listings, hedge funds, market makers, things like that we already have connections with. As you've seen, I've mentioned to you personally, but I want to let you know that there's a well connected and dedicated team that has a vision to turn this into what we say it's going to be. It's not just hopes and dreams. We have an executable, reasonable plan that's already actionable, and it's just about rallying behind the cause and understanding the vision here. You can see, Maurice doesn't bring anybody up here.
And again, I really like the concept and, even just listening to you talk about, different strategies or onboarding mechanisms that you plan to use to grow the potential player base. I mean, like I said, just kind of sparks some ideas on different projects or different techs or different like concepts that are growing into the blockchain and, trying to further that connection, that nostalgia, because yeah, like, I've never seen I love the concept of NFT packs, but I've never seen it in the way of like a Pokemon card opening, a Pokemon pack. I mean, like nowadays, I don't know if you watch some streamers, but there's like a really cool hobby shop here in the town that I'm from, and they do live like first edition Pokemon pack openings on their podcast, and they get thousands of people tuning into their streams, right? So like there's still massive audiences just for like, simply watching somebody open a pack of cards. And like it's that root like that's still embedded in us. I honestly joke that Pokemon cards gave me an addiction to just opening packs of shit. Like if I play like FIFA or like NBA or any of these games where it's pack based, if you could buy some packs, like I've always hated play to win, but now that I'm like a little bit older, it's just like I don't even give a shit what I get out of the pack most of the time. I'll never be mad if I get nothing good. I'm like, let's open me a pack. Let's go. Let's do it.
That's why so there's 1500, so 1500 in each set, 500 of each NFT. So if you have a flicker, right, and you evolve it, that token ID becomes a Flareox. And if you evolve that, then it becomes an Infernox. It's like that same token ID is changing forms. So as we progress, and people evolve, the base forms become more rare. And the best thing about minting is whatever doesn't get minted by the community, the deployer mints, and I have control over. So later on, as we move into season 2, season 3, in the coming months and years, Etherpets will have Genesis packs or something like that. That could be a really cool option to matriculate NFTs into the market and produce positive project revenue. That's definitely a great idea, and I'm super interested in that. That's something somebody's mentioned before. So, a project that, services that particular niche is, amazing. I definitely want to talk to them. That's a great idea.
I love it. And it's that receptiveness. I think that's important. I know you guys are very collaborative, like yourself, just as a person. Um, I know the AMA, like I typically have a little bit of a structure, I'll go into the token, I'll go in, but this one, it's a little bit more fun. And that's the way it's supposed to be. We are, after all, taking a journey to Etheria just to really learn about what you guys are building. I want to pick your brains, like how you came up with these characters. Like, again, some really unique designs, different elements, different skill traits, different origin stories. I'm sure there, as you guys progress, there may be combinations of characters you could pair together to evolve. Maybe there's different iterations of a specific. When I did say evolve, I meant breed. Evolve is one character. Maybe breed specific characters that have mirroring traits or something like that to create. Yeah, again, like a lot of different ways you guys can scale this and push it. It's that
Exactly.
potential untapped excitement. And I think that's why I like it. I mean, plus I'm a Pokemon nerd, so there's that. But I like the potential for me. That's what I like.
The main intention that I had when I was laying this out is allowing things like that to be flexible and having a scalable project. Like all these things I'm laying out right now are fundamental foundation pieces that we can build into whatever vision it best suits the market, the way the community takes it in. And there's so many different ways that you can go with it. And we have the know-how to do it. So it's just like, let's get together and take in new suggestions. Like one of the things the community member recommended was nicknaming. So, like nicknaming your NFTs individually within the ETHERDEX. So, you further develop that bond. Of course, we're going to have like a V2 ETHERDEX that's, fully animated with a built-in marketplace that allows for filtering, allows you to optimize on a more team and stats GameFi level rather than what like OpenSea or Rarible have to offer in terms of like, dedicated filtering. Because, I know how to build it to where you guys find what you want. But yeah, there's like, a lot planned for it.
Always had some of the funniest nicknames for my characters. Such an immature boy, for sure, back when I was playing that. Like a character named Boobs or something like that. It's just like, what? I remember when I logged in when I was like, I don't know, university age to my Game Boy, and it'd probably been like 10 plus years since I played. And my last saved game, I was like, what was I doing as a kid? Like, honestly, let's start a new one.
Same. Oh, I love it.
No, but that again, I just, a little bit of a funny story, but I love that aspect because it really does, you're gonna get to see people's kind of creativity. I mean, I personally love those kind of like those dirty kind of funny humor type names for characters. So yeah, like again, it's crypto. Like you're definitely gonna get some very creative characters, and it'll be funny too. Like when they're competing against each other, like, if it shows the nickname of the characters, like it'd be just pretty funny, as there's been skits about that, even on things like SNL and, various late night I think it was actually Mad TV that did like a skit back in the day of like, what would it be like if two funny named Pokemon were like battling each other and they had like, again, I'm not going to repeat the names, two fairly aggressive names and they were fighting and it was like extremely comical. So like you're going to be able to get that fun. And that's, if you look back at your mission statement, like that's kind of what, you guys are pushing. It's like that nostalgia, that fun. I mean, yeah, there's the element of like as you guys scale, you're hoping to really be able to make people some good money over time if they hold with you, or maybe through the asset valuation going up as players increase, how the NFT value could work. But yeah, like I definitely like it. And I did have a specific question here that I wanted to go into. So apologies. I just was looking through your white paper. I have to say, again, actually, this is what I wanted to say. One of the cleanest and like most visually appealing like documents it's been like put forth by a team. Like really good. Like your TV film pitch deck and everything, really, really clean. Take a look at it if you guys haven't already.
Yeah, that one
Sorry.
was fun. I'm updating it too. It's not quite done yet. I want to add more because we have analytics for every week. Um, I'm going to publish these soon. You can find them in our pinned messages. I actually dropped the last one we got done in the chat. If you're in the Etherpets chat, which you should join because it's very fun and I give away a lot of money and you can win some NFTs and you can mint some and get some Etherpets. But yeah, so I publish token breakdowns, like actual blockchain analytics. You could see what's happening to our holder count. You could see who's buying, who's selling, who's paper handing, who's diamond handing, the distribution, the whales, the trends. You can see all these things, in plain graphical interface. So, the blockchain is not a secret. That's the power. And if you can provide data, then you can empower your holders and have them understand a similar vision. So here's the last week we got. Here's week 4. I'm going to start doing these monthly now as we, start to enter larger trends. But, I did them for the first 4 weeks so you guys can get an understanding of our foundations, and later, publishing this information on Warpcast and other things to, further that reach.
From a a usage, a player's statistics standpoint, like how many characters have you guys currently had minted? How many evolutions have happened within the game itself, the ecosystem? Like, are you guys tracking those numbers? Just trying to figure out what the early usage stats look like there, because that's going to be
Yeah, it's
be
very
able to kind of
nascent.
yeah.
We've had maybe 30, 40 evolutions. It does take quite a bit of trading to get to the point to where you're able to evolve. So a lot of people like to put them in their sniper wallets. It does work with Banana and Maestro and Unibot and all those good things. But yeah, so we've only minted set 1. That's 9 characters total, 3 base forms. So we've minted already Zaplin, Flicker, and Dudo. If you want one of those, you have to go on Rarible. You can't mint them anymore. And right now, for the next 2 weeks, we'll be minting Fuzzlet, Rocket, and Glider, which turn into another, 9 characters. So total, we have 9 minted, 9 minting now. And then once this set is finished, we'll move on to the next 9 and the next 9 until, the first season is over and we're ready to rock and roll.
I love how you mentioned season, because are the statistics, I don't even know if this is possible on the blockchain, if an evolution happens, if it's able to like unevolve, or if it's
not.
seasonal evolutions. If there's, yeah, I'm just kind of curious if you guys have any way to almost reset, or if you guys are going with that. People have mixed reviews on like what a battle pass is, or like that style of setup in terms of like formatting on how things, statistics, level, rank, and stuff may reset every couple of months. I was curious if that's something that would come into play when you mentioned seasons.
So seasons, I mean minting seasons. So every set has a theme and every season has a theme. Each season is about 6 to 7 months, maybe more, depending on developmental timelines that, can vary, especially when you're talking about a long time like that. Stuff happens. So things might get shifted, but yeah, about 6, 7 months, maybe 8 that each season lasts. And for the first season, the first set was elemental beginnings. You have electric, water, and fire. And this set that we're minting now is, I believe it's Earthly Realms. So you have the ancient type, you have the earth type, you have the normal type. The next set is like heaven and earth. So you have a space type nebulite. You have a kung fu ninja kind of panda looking dude. His name is Shadowcoon. He's cool. One of the most popular designs. Um, and then you also have Spriglet, which is the grass definitive starter, like kind of like Bulbasaur, but yeah. So from there on, each one has a set and a theme. So season 1 is just like the brand building. It's the internal lore. Season 2, which will happen, in concurrence with the game, that's more like you'll see things like maybe a Pepe character, or maybe a blue cat, right? Or maybe some other iconography that's unique to Web 3. And then season 3, you build out Web 2. So you kind of have like a repository of different identities and thematics that play into not only the lore and the creation story and the storyline we're creating, but you know different identities in themselves as we start to market and expand. Because ultimately, this is meant to be a Web 2 project. I don't want the Web 3 side to even be noticeable. I don't want people to know that they're trading a coin. I want them to play the game and enjoy it. That's the idea. Seamless and thoughtful and deep and rich. Create a movement.
Now, I mean, it's just well thought out. Personally, when it comes to battling now, in terms of like the seasonal characters, the elemental characters, like is it gonna have like a similar feel to like what you used to do in Pokemon, where oh shit, like the other trainers got an electric Pokemon out, I gotta get me my rock type or my ground Pokemon out to like make sure I minimize the after or the special effects from their attacks. Like how do you guys like balance, I guess, the roster of characters within there to like have the traits and stuff, so there's enough offsets to each type of Pokemon? I know, a very jumbled question, but yeah, hopefully it made sense.
The main thing that you're fighting against during gameplay is less typing, more timing. That's the idea. So the switching aspect will be very good, and I also want to have a dual battling at like mode where you're going to be able to create these synergies. So it's kind of like two separate games within itself with two separate strategies, like singles and duos. I haven't touched on that yet, but that's the intention. So the main thing you're fighting against is not only luck but timing, and the typing will have some drawbacks, but it's not going to be as impactful of a component as in Pokemon. In Pokemon, that's how you define your battle, is typing and just knowing what stats the other Pokemon has or how it works. Here it's more about like building strategy within, like, okay, in League of Legends you might have like a character that's good in the jungle because it's fast and it's agile and it does a lot of damage per hit. Or you might have something that's good in the top lane because it's bulky and it can provide support. So it's like taking those fundamental concepts, like character building concepts, and applying them to strategy and timing. That's kind of how we're approaching it. Like if you're one turn off, or your opponent decides to switch here or heal here, or how much mana this has, they can ultimate here. So it's like you build that out with things like affinities and passives, as well as luck and timing based, or not timing, but luck and randomly generated like charisma stats, like critical hits, paralysis, burns, like statuses. That's how you get the fundamentals of the gameplay, and you can build it out from there in different ways. you know that's the fundamentals of it. It's not really a carbon copy of Pokemon, but it's nostalgic in that way. Nintendo protects their IP. I'm not coming for their game. I'm just creating an analog that's unique and not derived. That's the goal.
100%. And it's just trying to really figure out the similarities and the differences, right? That you guys, because character wise, concept wise similar, although very unique. But you know, understanding that the gameplay and the mechanisms, you know, within are much different. Yeah, that's definitely cool. That dual mode sounds very unique as well. I can't wait till you guys start to release more information on that in the future. Now, one thing I was curious about is evolution. Is it based on strictly time spent, or like
No.
number of battles, experience points gained within the battles?
So the game doesn't give you that much experience for your ether pets. It's very minimal. So you'd have to play a lot of battles to really grow your ether pets that way. The main way to grow them is through using your Ethereum wallet. So whenever you trade, you get 30, 40 experience. Right now it's 30, but we can start to manicure the type of trade if you're minting, things like that. Um, that's part of the back end upgrades that we're pushing towards. But right now you can trade and earn 30 experience. So um, that's much more than you'll get from retweeting or battling, and that's the main way to go about evolving your ether pets. And with that comes, of course, stronger stats and more competitive ether pets.
Oh, that's really cool. Now, I don't know if in the future, if you guys would almost like a stake to evolve, or a stake like an incubate, like stake to incubate type of thing, stake to hatch, like maybe you even, I mean,
Egg forms, yeah.
yeah, to me, like there was two things I thought of when I initially, way back when you first came on the space, with Kinwalt, was I thought about obviously Pokemon, but I almost kind of thought of the flip side, which is like more like the Tamagotchi side, which was like, you know, you have your pets from the early stage, you got to feed them, you got to try and make sure they don't die. I was curious if you guys ever have a plan to, like, yeah, go into more the egg and like the hatching form, if that would be an elemental, or I guess a evolution of the types of, or their life cycle, like even pre-birth, have that added in at some point. More
That's
like
like an expansion that
nurture.
we can add. So the original way that I thought of this idea is one of my friends, he said somebody should make some Tamagotchi type shit. And I was like, "Oh my God, that's a great idea." And like after that, it just took hold of me. So, and right now the fundamental, you know, MVP, minimum viable product, is this ecosystem that I'm laying out. But beyond that, and the long-term vision, of course, with more community comes more traction, comes more ability to execute work. So one of the things that we want to do in the large scope is with the you know develop off of this V2 ETHERDEX we're creating with our partners. And with that, they've already developed kind of an infrastructure for something like Tamagotchi, where you have to feed and do all these things with their previous projects. But I don't want to make it a core element of the experience, but more like in Pokemon, how they you have this environment that you see them animated in and roaming around in, and you can interact with them, and bringing that into AR and VR and the metaverse with many various partners that we can accrue, because all these ether pets are being worked in 3D for the game, as well as for cinematic trailers that we have. So it's important that we use those files and that information to bring it into different worlds as well. So you know that's that's a part of the vision long term, is to make your ether pets real as far as technology can. Like, imagine your ether pet running around in Apple Vision Pro. We just have to create an iPad app, so it's not, I say it like it's simple, it's not, but something like that could be possible as we further the roadmap in the game, and we have big hirings internally, and work out more of the business structure, get registered, things like that. So there's a long roadmap to this, um, and we're very early, and there's
Yeah, I I personally, like, I'm a big fan. I mean, I just think it's cool. I mean, I know it's going to take time, so like that's why I could speak a little bit more openly, because I understand like time is something that you're going to need for this to take off, build adoption, build player base. even education, GameFi is not where it used to, where it will be at some point down the future. I think it's one of the categories that will likely take off. I think a lot of people agree. There's, such a big gaming market, crypto and gaming just being both digitally driven products makes sense going together. So there are a lot of kind of similarities, I think. And that's why, I'll speak a little bit more candidly about it because I understand that time is something that we'll just, have to factor in. But, from listening to what your passion is, your excitement, you're clearly pretty amped up to get this to keep this going and to have like your vision come to life. So I wanted to know, like, what are your thoughts? A big I guess push since when Pokemon and those types of concepts came out to now in terms of gaming is the concept of an open world. That was not around back then, but it kind of dominates the narrative of gaming these days, the ability to explore and immerse yourself. So I don't know if you guys are maybe look, I know it would be likely at this point, too expensive to build out a metaverse. I know a good one is, 50 million, 100 million plus. But what are your thoughts on maybe scaling or trying to scale some of your characters into existing open worlds that are out there right now? And if you were, who would you say are your kind of your flagship characters? Your Pikachu, your Squirtle, your Charmander, your Bulbasaur. Like who to you are those like standouts?
Absolutely. So we have trainer characters like Liam and Aria. They're the two rivals that set out to become the masters of the universe, the Etheria universe. We have our analogs. We have, but they're fresh. They're unique. It's not derived in that way. Um, and the Etherpet flagships, I would say, are Zaplin, Flicker, and Dudo. Shadowcoon and Spriglet definitely up there as well in terms of like unique design, concept, feel, animation, personalities. You know, these are definitely the ones that shine the brightest. And as well as the logo. The logo is an Etherpet too, and its name is Eterna, and it's the Etherpet that basically made all of the Etherpets NFTs. So basically, what had happened was Etherpets were born from the void, the Big Bang, right? Out came Etheria, and with it came Eterna. And Eterna represents the joy and the passion and the light in the universe, much like Selenite and Pokemon, like that childlike, youthful, playful spirit that operates with whimsy. That's Eterna, and you know as Etherpets were created and biomes were formed across Etheria, like the Vale of Vitalik and the Pool of Satoshi, right? Etherpets started to inhabit these forms. Life emerged, and the way that it did is because Eterna bonded Ethereum within all of the energy of Etheria. So there's DeFi power within the world, and Eterna serves as the link. So Rocket has ores that are hyper powered, with Ethereum, the power of Etheria, the power of crypto, power of DeFi, and that's how it evolves to shoot these giant cannons out of its arms because it's harnessing that power and learning to grow. The second stage is like the Ledger Rock, like Ledger plus Rock, Ledger Rock, and it's like the Stone Storage Pokemon or Etherpet, the Stone Storage Etherpet. So it's collecting all this energy. So the Etherpets have the DeFi force within them as Eterna created them, and eventually Aria and Liam they got too ahead of themselves, as their career progressed, and eventually it culminated in an ultimate battle that locked away the Etherpets again. So the storyline is like walking you through the story of how they got to the point where Etherpets became NFTs. And there's auxiliary characters and this and that. It's going to follow a storyline, and I'm going to try to animate this as best as I can and create little clips and stories, and that's part of the idea. We have a Genesis video that I made myself, but we're going to have a more comprehensive look into the lore as the token becomes less of a priority later on. So that's kind of like the story. I think that's the first time I ever went into it like that.
I really enjoyed it, and I'm probably a little bit different when it comes to the hosts than some because yeah, I just try and very informal, try and give feedback. But this one, I'm a little bit like I'm geeking out a little bit with you, and I do obviously have a lot of ideas, things that would make sense or fit just the concept that you're trying to build up. Just because I know that realm like very very well. Um, not gonna lie, even when I saw that video like recently of like the more recent seasons, because I don't know if you followed, but this was the first time they've ever released like a Pokemon series where Ash isn't the featured character.
Yeah,
And then
I
I saw
know.
a
I seen that,
video
and it's like this
where
little
he
girl.
where he died, like Pikachu essentially like gave him like tried to sacrifice himself for him and he didn't, and then you see like Ash kind of disappearing, and then the Pikachu dude, I'm not gonna lie, when Pikachu had that reaction, even as a grown man, I teared up a little bit. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Like, man, there goes 20 years of my childhood. Oh, damn. Like, I've been watching that since I was like 4 or 5.
You know, I haven't really been watching Pokemon, or I haven't played Power World too much or anything because I've been so fixated on Etherpets and trying to like bring that energy and that freedom and that sense of discovery into a place where people can really, really like grow it into a huge community that's has vested interest in user generated content and virality and esports. And there's constantly something to look forward to as we progress down the mints, are burning tokens, releasing mini games. It's not like a crypto J curve. That's one of the things that I'm developing away from. Normally projects hit a big period of stagnation, and that's not the vibe. We're a community token too. The way that I did this was self-funded without VC capital. Of course they want in now, but you know I did this with my own budget over months. And I'm not asking for anything from anybody but that you enjoy the lore and you contribute if you're excited about it. And we create this together. It's so much better that way. It's fun.
How do you like are you guys going to offer maybe the ability for communities to come in and build up their own like custom battle arena, custom community where they try and push? That would be a good way to collaborate and utilize like the strength of communities, because like it's
Guilds.
one for a community or for like somebody like myself or Kid and Walt or any of your other great partners that you've kind of had some good extended exposure to since you launched. I know this is the first day of May, but I love what I've always said. I love what you guys are doing on those spaces. So like, how do you offer something to them and really leverage their communities to try and get more people in under their umbrella and kind of have like similar to gyms or badges, right? You got to beat somebody from Caesar's like gym, or somebody from the Kid and Wald show, like to get your X badge with it, like that,
That's so cool.
dude.
Yeah,
Like,
bro.
yeah, man, we could just keep going. I mean, I got ideas. Like,
These are
just
great ideas. I haven't heard
yeah,
that one
put me on the
before.
mic. I've always said I can't build shit, but I can give you ideas on maybe how to.
Some people just give me like the best ideas, and like I think about all of them that really resonate, and I try my best. But that's one. Like, how do we go about setting that up? Maybe in like a mini game, like a battling mini game, where all the influencers create their ideal team. We preload them in there, and if you beat the boss, you get a badge for your profile or something, like an achievement.
Exactly. You get the badge, you get the bosses, like you could link them to different influencers across Twitter, across Telegram, the
That's
various
so
platforms, YouTube and
cool.
stuff like that. And to get
Yeah.
to get your to get your EtherDex to full status, to be like a full I keep saying Pokemon, be a full Etherpets master. Um, you need to go through all the badges, all the bosses, beat them, right? So like, again, I know you're not looking for a carbon copy, but it will deepen the nostalgia, and it will also create more of that. Like that's what brings like gamers. Like if you're in a clan and gaming, I mean, doesn't matter what game it is. I even play Rocket League for fun sometimes. And that for me is a game I literally play for 15 to 20 minutes to warm up my hands before I go and play a shooter, because it's like high button pressing, a lot of like quick movements, got to get your reaction time high. It's this phenomenal warm up for a shooter. But like, dude, I still take that seriously, and we still have a clan, and when we play another clan, we do not like to lose.
Yeah, I definitely intend to build out Gibbs guilds and ambassadorships. Like, so Etherpets, they're kind of pricey, and for people in different countries, having an opportunity to rent Etherpets, through secure, third-party integrations and that kind of thing, and also build out guilds on also Discord and we have the Etherpets Army group. There's content, shilling, information, networking, tons of different things that we'll build out, including guilds, so people can, come together and really support. Like Walker is a Dudo maxi. He's cornering the Dudo market. So like, the water type guild, can definitely be a thing.
It's true. He's also the most memeable one. Like, I look at the narrative, right? Like, this is almost its own narrative in itself, in the future, right? Like, that's how it's kind of being created, right? It's cut above everything that kind of runs a narrative, right? It's just its own narrative, which is another reason why it's so sick.
Oh, it is. And we've talked a lot about the game. We've talked a lot about, that we've gotten some more detail on the mechanics, which is great. I'm really happy that you're able to kind of showcase a bit of alpha on the mechanics with everybody here. Now I wanted to ask about the meme. I wanted to kind of talk about the memeability, because we spent a lot of time about the game, the utility, but as a whole, your characters, they're very memeable. They're, some of them are a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more fierce looking, but yeah,
But
you
Dudo,
do
my
have
G,
cute and cuddly mascots and stuff like that. So how do you guys build out the meme side of the project and really maybe connect some of your characters to like the meme realm further?
And that's a very important part of our roadmap. We have all this IP. We've seen tons of Pokemon memes, Squirtle with sacks, all these things that people are familiar with. And it's just about integrating our characters in a high quality way into pop culture. I've made tons of memes myself that are just fucking hilarious. Like things that'll just like make you laugh, and make you think about, Etherpets just maybe one more time, and really targeting TikTok, Instagram, and leveraging the algorithm, things like that. That's a part of the long-term roadmap as we develop our community. But even now, I'm creating memes. Community's creating memes. The more that people start to see these things and become familiar with them, just like Miladies or Pudgy Penguins, Etherpets will be gifts that people put in other chats, high quality content, making it reproducible and culture specific while being wide scale and breadth. That's part of the virality, and leveraging that user generated content on top of our own higher quality dedicated memes, if that makes any sense.
I mean, and even the community has kind of been creating a ton of memes as well. Like, as we're going, I mean, I picked Dudo because like Dudo is I think the most memeable little weirdo, right? So, and community's created some crazy funny memes. And we also have a TikTok too, which is kind of more for memes. Like, it's basically a meme TikTok, but there's only maybe 600 holders that actually understand it right now. So, hoping to grow all that stuff too. So,
love it. Now I do, there's a couple other details. Overall, just love. I'm a Caesar's the same though. Caesar might even be more of a Pokemon nerd than I am. So, yeah, him and I are both like, if you've ever participated in any of the trivia, any of the live giveaways he used to do back in the day, he's an absolute Pokemon maxi. So yeah, really think, I don't know how much, I know he knows of the project, but I don't know how much he's deep dived it yet, just because of everything else going on, but I'll have to give him some insight and a rundown on what you guys are doing. I think he'll really like it as well.
If I may jump in.
Yeah, no, sure. Go ahead, Dream.
Hey, yeah. So I wanted to jump in and just maybe do a little of a concept summary from a community member perspective, and then give some people might have not joined right at the beginning, and I just wanted to kind of give an overview from a person who is not the developer, but more like a user looking for the upcoming game. I got involved in the project, like I found it randomly, similar to Walker, I think 3 days after launch. And I started to look into it, and similar feeling, like it was so much already developed and really good plans laid out. The community was active. Got to see that Element, being the main developer, was fully engaged in the project and in the community. So I started to look into it, and the more I spent the time and started to learn more and more, there are so many layers to it. And I know, like, all the discussion so far, it has gone into like very detailed side of everything. But from an overview point of view, just to summarize for all the people who are in the chat, in the VC right now, basically what Element is creating is as we call it, the digital wilderness called Etheria. And Etherpets token, as of now, it works as like the bloodline of the entire system. It's one token-based economy, and I'll go further into it. So what you do is basically, you being a user, basically mint your NFT in a sense that you're basically giving birth to a creature which you will have living on a blockchain. You will train them, you will evolve them, you will see their progress throughout their life cycle. And you do that after mint. You can monitor them on ETHERDEX, which is your portal to look at basically all your baby NFTs and bring them up and see how they progress through their life cycle. And then the Etheria digital wilderness, that's where all the creatures, they start as a baby. Once the game is launched, they will be there as a baby, and as they grow up, they will be taking multiple forms. And then they interact. You interact as the player in that digital wilderness of Etheria with the other players, and your pets, your creatures, your baby NFTs. They interact with the other NFTs as well as the other players. And then throughout the process of evolving, you basically rank up the set of NFTs that you own. You build your team, and then as you do the mini game exposure of your team, and then climb up the ranks, you basically climb up the chain and qualify for tournaments in like the main game that's going to come up, where there would be the Etherpets arena and everything, where we would basically have our set of Etherpets, 3 to 5 Etherpets, and then we will compete. And in those tournaments, there would be big pots of 50K, 100K or more to win for any of the team that first qualify and then compete and then win. So the model that is basically being built is, I want to say, well-rounded, in the sense that Etherpets that basically creates the NFTs that you use in Etheria to build your team and then go up the ranks and then qualify for the tournaments and then compete and win. That's how that Etherpet token ties everything together, from the birth of the creature to you going through that whole journey and then winning a tournament and then living your life, and that nostalgia that everyone has been talking about. So we relate to Pokemon the way we have all been talking about, but the new generation that's just getting into different things and is more inclined to technology and everything would start their roots in DeFi, and they will start interacting with DeFi at the stage where we started interacting with Pokemon. And this will be the thing that they will go into and build their teams, fight, and do whatever. So it's gonna be such a remarkable thing, and the generation that we come from and the next generation, we all will be able to tie together through this common thread or common concept. Again, not a carbon copy, but inspired by Pokemon. So it ties so well together. And then knowing Element throughout this whole month that we have behind us, he is one of the best devs that I have been engaged with. Totally dogs, fully engaged with the project and community, has full clarity of the milestones for the project. Obviously, there are things that we as community contribute, and he take that as a good feedback and then integrate into the plan. It's flexible in that way, but the clarity of where we're headed, that's all there. And then he has been completely transparent with the community, from sharing the coin analytics and everything else, from marketing to whatnot. And the best thing that I like, and I've been in like many groups. I got in crypto in 2017. Never been into NFTs. This is my first time. But basically, he's the guy who he does not oversell or does not overpromise. He keeps everything reality check kind of, and then delivers everything he promises. That's what I've seen so far in 5 weeks of the launch and 4.5 weeks of my involvement. And this is the place that I think everyone wants to be. Obviously, not a lot of people yet know about Etherpet, but see you guys who are doing this AMA and exposing the project to a wide community. That's the gateway to get more and more people involved, and then build that or expand into that community that's gonna basically go towards creating this whole new concept and realm of GameFi. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say essentially.
Personally agree. I mean, just the level of depth, and I mean, just the way Element can speak to the project, and just understanding how he hopes that things, as they hit different milestones and parts of the roadmap, how he's going to incorporate and scale it up. I mean, the thought process behind it definitely came through in the AMA. So I really appreciate you jumping on the back end. Dream is just somebody who came into the project kind of organically and really has enjoyed what they're building over there.
Figuring out the dream is very based.
You always like to get a couple community questions in. I mean, if there's anything we missed regards to token, supply breakdown, how that will work in terms of, minting, anything we missed about the project, the technical side of it, distributions, let us know. I know we covered a lot about the gameplay, that the origins, the inspiration behind it. You have a really good plan in place in terms of how. I know it's just now going to take the time to get there, right? So we do always open it up for some questions. I saw Sujay and a few others had their hands up, so if they want to flip that, but we'll maybe start with it's been a while since we've had Benova in here for a live question. Hopefully Benova is ready to rock. We'll try and get his mic up first, and then we can maybe go to Sujay from there. And I'll check my DMs as well to see if there's anything from my coordinator. Benova, it's been a long time. Hope you've been enjoying the AMA so far. If you want to go ahead and take the floor, I'll get you up first. I'm just going to read through a couple of questions that Vlad has sent over to me.
Okay, Maurice, thank you very much. I've been enjoying the AMA so far, and it's been a long time, Maurice.
It's been probably 3 or 4 months since we've had you up. So great to see you.
I want to know, gaming, the gaming aspect. Will you have like a referral program and rewards for inviting non-crypto game players? That's my first question.
That's a great idea. Did you catch that?
I couldn't hear him that well.
Okay, I caught it. It was hard to hear, but a referral program for like people to bring in non-crypto people, right? I think
that's a part of the social aspect for sure.
Yeah.
We're gonna have egg forms in season 2, so not full blown Etherpets yet, but an egg NFT when after we complete a bridge for the second season. And for the GameFi token, it'll be a lot easier for us to give a lot of people Etherpets if they earn it by completing social tasks to, not only claim it and qualify, but to level it up as well and hatch it. So yeah, there's going to be a plan for that.
Okay, that's nice. And also wanted to ask, do you have any, plans also to incorporate, arts in the game, like a short ad in the game, as game players play, maybe during maybe during the breaks, it gets hard, and the through the ads, the
I got
project
you.
can
Like in-game
get more.
advertisements, like, in between battles and stuff like that.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no ads.
So I do have a couple more here. I know there was one from Ken Patchy that I wanted to get into here. He said, he loves the concept. He was a big Pokemon fan himself. He doesn't want to date himself, but he was big into the game as a kid, and he's even made some digital copies of his old Pokemon collections online and various games and stuff. He said one of the things that kind of plagues newer projects that come out is a lot of the times they get hit with the nostalgia of Pokemon or that feel, but they'll go back and kind of defer to the Nintendo system and actually start to kind of play through the association. So he was curious, how you guys push past the nostalgia to get those people who just maybe connect to you guys on the Pokemon level, and then get them to really start to embrace and jump into the Etherpets community, because you said those are going to be likely the best type of people and the ones that you want to connect with your project.
Yeah, so a big part of the esports factor is onboarding influencers that may, you know, play Pokemon now competitively. I know a ton of YouTubers that do so, and everybody has a price, especially for a project that's really beautiful and has a deep and rich storytelling aspect, and that storytelling aspect plus, like I said, appealing to pop culture and really establishing an IP. Those are the kind of things that are going to attract more users from Web 2 and Pokemon fanatics alike. As soon as they recognize that this ecosystem exists and it's real, and they can own their digital assets with their NFTs, their Pokemon, and grow along their journey with them, utilize them in multiple different games, and have that information presented beautifully in a poetic way. I think that's going to really spike our conversion and allow us to have those people join us and support us for the long haul.
And I wanted to get into a question here. This one's from Patel T1. His username is Freeman. When you guys are going through the match selection process, is it done automatically? Are you matched against people on the competition side with a similar level, similar experience points? How does that work or is it more like you're competing your characters against simulated battles with the computer, or will there be that elemental of one-on-one, and how does the matchmaking work from a experience or leveling standpoint?
Yeah, so the matchmaking in Etherpets Arena will be based on skill level. It'll be skill-based matchmaking. So you have a profile, right, determined by your wallet when you connect. So that profile, you'll be able to select your main character, see your skins, see your Etherpets, all these things. But you'll also have a profile ranking, with achievements and badges, just like you would find in a regular game. So, within your profile, you have XP that you collect for yourself, points. So I haven't come up with a name for these points yet that are definitive, but as you win battles, you'll collect these points, and that'll determine the ranking that you're in. For example, bronze 1, bronze 2, bronze 3, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, beyond, master rank. Your matchmaking will be based off of your profile. So, bronze and silvers, high bronze and low silvers compete, low bronze competes, high silver, low gold competes, high gold and low platinum competes. You know what I mean? A very standard matchmaking system, nothing crazy, something that works, is effective, and isn't frustrating. That's the idea.
Yeah, really good breakdown. I mean, I play some Call of Duty, ranked gameplay from time to time. I'm not like super high level, but my buddies who play more often than me, I can't even play with them because they're platinum. I think I'm like silver or something like that. So they're too high of a gap for me to play. So it's kind of that mentality, if I'm understanding it correctly based on your explanation. To be kind of within like one tier probably of the other player to match.
Exactly. Like it'll be, based on your your successes so far. Everybody will start even, and as you prove your strategy is effective, you'll be placed higher to keep things fair, because the whole tournament structure revolves around this matchmaking system. It's very important that it's fair and reasonable.
Yep. I mean, that makes the most sense for me. There should be a little bit of flexibility because I mean, if you're for example, we use the gold versus platinum example you gave. If you're a gold level player, you're going to want to be a little bit more challenged once you get to a certain comfort level and maybe play against a higher rank. And then if once you get better, you're going to level up yourself. So, that's a good kind of good way to grow skill and kind of push people through progression properly as well. Oh, this one's actually an interesting one. Considering there's 500, this one's from Mr. Copra. Considering there's about 500 iterations of each character, how does it work? Like, what does a battle against a same character look like? Like, if I'm using the Dudu and so is Walker, is there a benefit I could have, or is there going to be canceling? Like, how will it work? Is there a canceling effect that certain things, if you battle the same character, would have, and that's where switching becomes more prevalent? Yeah, kind of curious on that. It was an interesting question. Same character.
Stats come into play because each Dudo is not the same. So, one might have really shitty defense, and then you'll kill it. But you wouldn't know that unless you tried. So that's one of the things that make battling dynamic, is each Etherpet has different stats. So,
and it's like a built-in rarity for each one. So yeah, they all look the same, the NFTs, as a Dudo, but every Dudo has a different stat and gives you that rare. So you might have that super strong Dudo, right? Or versus a weaker one, right? So there's still that variance in stats even with each species.
Like, turn order does decide it, barring all things. You know what I mean? Or if you have another Etherpet on your roster, that would allow you to gain an advantage. So that's how that would look. Very much a mirror match, but there's nuance to them. They're not just clones. So there's depth within that as well. And that's why optimizing for the best stats and doing these things will make people more successful. And it's all about not being play to win. That's why or pay to win. That's why as we mint the NFTs, there'll be more variance and stats, and people will hopefully put their the collectors that don't want to play will put their rare and powerful Etherpets available to mint to the guilds and teams that are performing the most successfully. So there's things like that.
I had a great question here from Alpha. I really like this one. You touched on the wallet interaction with the Ethereum blockchain factoring into the gameplay slightly. He was curious, with you guys trying to really focus on onboarding or make this more Web 2 based, but the average Web 2 or normie wouldn't have the higher interactions like a traditional trader would that's already in DeFi. So, I really like the question because he's like trying to see how you guys balance the inflow of new players or Web 2 users with the fact that there is a certain component of wallet and blockchain interaction to benefit you in game.
Yeah, so if you don't want to interact with the token, it's not necessary unless you want to mint the new set. You want to not have to buy one off the secondary market, then you'll need a token. However, part of the roadmap is multi-chain integration, having a bridge to a GameFi chain. So, of course, experience tracking and all that will be applied to the new chain as well. So it's like just having somebody create a MetaMask wallet and having, a guided instruction to, achieving that the most simple way possible. That's the onboarding curve right there. But every other blockchain game has to go through it as well. It's not about making it 9, 10, 12 screens, like, oh, make an account, make an email, log in, verify your email, do this, do that. No, I just want it. Click the button, connect your wallet. That's it. If you don't have a wallet, make a wallet, then click the button. That's is about as deep as it's gonna go in terms of playing and getting access to the game. If you don't have any Etherpets in your wallet, then you can just go ahead and play the demo version and see if you like it.
Awesome. No, great answer. And Alpha, really, really unique questions. So I will throw it to Sujay. I think he took a while to get his mic figured out. So Sue, I'll throw it to you. I know Telegram's been a bit buggy, so I appreciate the patience. And yeah, I know you're a big Pokemon fan yourself, so I'll let you take this one home.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was trying to get myself unmuted, but somehow it couldn't just come off. Yeah, great presentation, great white paper. I agree with Maurice. This is one of the better looking white papers, very neat and clean, has all the information, and the fact that you're still working on it, that's amazing. Most people don't have half as good as white paper as yours, and they're already done with it. So my question is not so much about the Pokemons themselves, but it's about the whole evolution thing, right? Now, you've mentioned the most weightage for evolving your Etherpets is from the blockchain transactions and not so much by the social media engagement and stuff. Now, my concern there is, and you kind of touched upon it, I think, is with volume only increasing on the Ethereum blockchain as we go into this bull run, or we already are in the bull run, the gas fees are going to keep increasing, and it's going to cost you higher and higher to actually evolve your Etherpet to the next level. And if it reaches a point where it's like extremely expensive, do you fear that people might lose interest in the whole process itself at some point? And
Well, I don't fear it, because a part of our roadmap, a very strong part of our roadmap, is offering a GameFi bridge, that GameFi chain bridge. We're gonna create a partner with another chain. I'm in talks with different ones now, and we're gonna offer the same token on a different chain. That's a layer 2. And when I launched this on Ethereum, I knew this was going to be a part of the roadmap. But Ethereum is king for community. It's king for NFTs. It's and it does do a lot of GameFi transactions relative to other chains that you pay gas on, unlike things like Wax, where you don't pay any gas, or Axie started on Ethereum, was successful in the middle of the bull run despite the high gas. Just because of the novelty of the ecosystem and people wanted to try it out. They definitely got a lot of adoption there. But yeah, definitely we're going to have a different chain that is the GameFi chain, where gas will be minuscule. So there isn't that barrier. And the ETH main token, it'll serve as a means of arbitrage. Of course, larger buys and sells, longer holding times. And you'll be able to bridge back and forth between the utility token and the actual main Ethereum token, which will still have application, but most of the activity will be on whichever chain that we choose to go to in the future. They'll both be the same liquidity pools, same price, but 2 different chains.
Yeah, no, perfect. Because that's going to be part of my question. Why don't you leverage like a layer 2, like Polygon or Arbitrum or any of the layer 2s for Ethereum, just for this evolution process? And I think, yeah, if that's in the
winning
roadmap,
for
then I
us
think
right
that
now
solves that problem.
Base is winning because of my pedigree there and their cooperative leadership, as well as the need for a good definitive GameFi chain, a GameFi game for the chain, as well as Beam. So these are 2 chains that are winning right now. But that's going to come in due time. We're a little small right now to entertain a bridge, or a necessity for a bridge. Gas is going to be getting more and more volatile, but I view that as a benefit as well, because there'll be longer hold times encouraged, a longer development cycle, and of course, when people buy, they'll do so with conviction and larger backs. So Ethereum is king. It always will be. So that's where we're going to be stationed. Etherpets.
Yeah, no, perfect. That answers my question, and we'll also see how the degen update that's coming in a few days affects or solves the gas prices.
Yes.
We don't know, but yeah.
Everybody prays.
Yeah, let's just hope it does some good. But yeah, thank you very much for answering my question. Really like the project and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
A great discussion that was, boys. And again, thanks so much, Sue, for jumping in and asking a couple questions. For me, really just enjoyed the overall presentation. I'll definitely be in touch with Element. Him and I, like I said, we've been in touch for a while before. I've known him long before he launched Etherpets, and just getting you on here for that deeper dive, learning your game mechanics a little bit more, and some of the alpha you were able to share, man. I just want to say thank you so much. And I'll pass you the mic to close out officially from the team, but super bullish, and this will not be the last time I'm sure we hear about Etherpets here on Caesars.
So we're gonna hop into the in our Telegram too. If anyone had any questions that didn't get answered, we're gonna start a VC after this is done, just so you guys know. So if you do want to hop into the Etherpets Telegram, that'd be sweet. I'd love to see some of your faces there and hear from you maybe in the VC and invest with us and have a fucking blast in Etheria. So
I would just add one thing. If anyone is interested, go look at the website, go look at the documents, go look at the level of detail that has been built into the project already. And that would tell you the sophistication or the level of development that has gone through and where we're headed. So do your research and then make your decision. And just look into everything. This is something that you don't really want to fade, essentially.
yeah. So yeah, at Etherpets, hop in the TG, and thank you so much, Maurice, for having us.
If Element wanted to jump on and just close anything out for us here, but if you
we
like,
gotta
as
get
you
him
guys
on
go
here,
through,
Element.
through scaling out different things, and if you guys do go the route of adding in those different gyms or badges, like obviously we'll would love to be included in that process. So again,
the nice thing about it is
super
infinitely
clean
scalable.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I love what you're doing. I love the thought process, and when I first looked at the docs, when he sent everything over, I've heard the presentation, I've heard his passion for it, but just that one of the nicest white papers I've seen, man. Like seriously, I look at a lot of them, so very well done, very engaging, interactive, and it shows like the level of detail. So if you guys need anything from me, happy to help out. Always, as we recommend, guys, jump in the community, do your research. But clearly there's a lot of thought that's gone into this one, and the detail does not go unnoticed for me.
Big shout out to you, Maurice and Caesar. I mean, you guys said there's a lot of different people in crypto that have opinions and push different projects. But one of the things that I admire about you guys is that you stay on top of your projects. You pick the ones that have thought and passion, and not only the development, but maybe the narrative, the content. There's always something distinguishing about the projects, and they always do well because you're able to centralize this and make sure that you provide the best opportunities for the people in the space, and growing education and uplifting different people through giveaways and things like that. That's kind of what you guys represent, and those same positive vibes, let's spread them around crypto and start painting the bull run and setting the culture the way that that we want the space to be. So thank you.
And I always joke, man, and I mean it's not a joke because it's real. But when we have people on stage and teams that are really building something and have that belief in what they're building and are clearly putting the time, I mean it makes my job as a host, facilitating this so much easier. So I always kind of throw that love back and just say thank you to you and your community, your team behind you, for doing a great job establishing yourself and just really kind of getting this thing off the ground in the early stages.
I can't wait for a couple of weeks. We're gonna be like this, 10,000x from the AMA, guys, just like always, just like planned.
Yeah, that would be Caesar putting that one up. I'm not the X guy here. I'm more so I love the idea. And even if the chart isn't popping, if you ever need anything exposure wise, want to get on any spaces and stuff like that, you just let me know, man. Happy to spread the word.
Awesome. Yeah, we're collaborative. Whatever we can work out would be great. And
like I said, I mentioned that link thing earlier in terms of those loot boxes and how they can do that. I'm definitely going to put you in touch with that team there. I think that could be a really cool, fun little addition for you guys. Great cross exposure, and that's what it's all about, man. So you keep building, you know, as long as, like I always say, as long as the teams are building, the teams keep doing their thing, I will happily be here, you know, to support you behind the scenes. So, you know, we're only as good as the projects and the people we work with and the community that we have, you know, and hopefully nobody ever forgets that. So thank you for coming by. Thank you for like all the effort you've put in, you know, creating this. And I know it's, you know, not even been 2 months, but I know it's been an exciting 2 months. RR featured you guys very early in the Gambles channel, and then, you know, the constant exposure on Twitter, just, you know, building. And, you know, when the gas fee is good, like even some of those, I have so many ideas, man. Anyways, we'll talk in DMs. Otherwise, this will go on for like another half an hour. There's a couple people and you know, solutions I could put you with even to help try and mitigate some of that cost of the gas on the NFTs. So yeah, lots of
Sick.
stuff we can talk about, man.
I'm as excited as ever.
Awesome. Well, I'll wrap it up one last time. This is officially the, you know, closes out the AMA here on Caesar's Calls with Etherpets. Go learn about what they're doing. Go learn about Etheria and their 90 plus unique characters. They're about to drop another seasonal release. So yeah, just can't wait to see what else they have. So check them out. Telegram, Twitter. I know they're building out. They mentioned they have a TikTok and some other social platforms, but if you haven't yet, definitely spend some time in the white paper. There is so much information.